Well, Chelsea's season has descended into chaos after they fired Graham Potter and they began looking for their third manager since being bought by Todd Boehly last summer. Is it going to descend into chaos, or could it end in the way it did last time they did this at similar time of season when Thomas Tuchel came in and they ended up going and winning the Champions League? There is a lot to discuss with Chelsea. Let's bring in a man who has been all over the world of football this weekend. Times chief football writer Henry Winters on the line. Hi, Henry.
Good morning, Henry. How are you?
Morning, Laura. Morning, Ali. Quiet weekend?
Well, I had one, Henry. But if you've heard Miss Woods' performance from, she gave us a full rendition at 6 o'clock this morning. Dear me, she's done remarkably to make it to her work this morning.
I went to see Elton John last night at the O2 and he was wonderful. And I'm still standing.
Oh, lovely. Hey!
You were at St James's, weren't you?
I was, yes. No Elton John there. But, and Manchester United sort of turned up. Well, their fans certainly did, but they're so disappointed without Eriksen and Casemiro.
Tell me a little bit about the world of football at the moment, because at the weekend, 2 managerial sackings, Graham Potter, the one that we were just discussing there. Was this the right time, Henry, do you think, for a change?
With Graham Potter, no, it was the wrong time. It should have been done a couple of months ago. I've been so bored saying it. I just think if you talk to Chelsea fans, and not just sort of simply the outspoken ones on social media, but if you go to Stamford Bridge, talk to the fans, the mood there, they're turned against him. He wasn't the right fit. I mean, look, it's frustrating in a way because you go to St George's Park, you see these young English coaches coming through, and you talk to them. And I do help them out with the media training on the pro license, and they look at Graham Potter and say, he's got a big job. This is what we want to do. Let's hope he does well there. He's an inspiration, like Southgate is with England, like Eddie Howe is with Newcastle. They need these almost ambassadors for English coaching, which has taken a bit of a battering over years. But he failed. And look, the owners are culpable with the players they brought in. But you looked at his team, the formation, the selections, particularly at Aston Villa at the weekend, and he was totally schooled by Unai Emery. You can't play Reece James, who's probably in the top 3 right wing backs in Europe, in the world. You can't play him as a right-sided centre-half. And you're just going to lose that energy down the right. So, look, there were lots of tactical things. He just didn't fit there. I think Chelsea fans, whether you call them arrogant or what, whether it's the King's Road history, they do like a manager with a little bit of swagger. They like that Jose Mourinho, call it entitlement, whatever. But look, under Abramovich, he would have gone at least 3 months ago.
Is it the obvious fit now, Nagelsmann, Henry? I also still on the case of Potter. I genuinely still believe that. Yeah, I agree. The results were absolutely not good enough. However, you could argue he was a little bit unlucky with injuries to James. Obviously, Kante, Chilwell, but surely the players have got to take an element of responsibility as well. Those players, no matter, and I take your point, you're absolutely right. Reece James, right centre back, no, but the level of consistency, no matter where they were asked to play, wasn't good enough.
I agree that he should have been bought a proper centre forward, Aubameyang, who he inherited. And then he sort of left out and then brought back in. I thought that was a sign of weakness. Potter tried to compare himself with Mikel Arteta at Laura's beloved Arsenal. But Arteta, from the word go, you talk to people around the club, you talk to the players, there was a stealing of the ruthlessness about Arteta. He had this defined vision. I could not tell you what Potter's preferred tactics, first choice was. So, look, I take your point, Ali, but I just think that they were just a bit of a mess. And you look at Unai Emery, who has lesser, with respect, players to deal with, and was getting far more out of them. And he totally schooled Potter on Saturday.
I'm fascinated to see where they go after this. Brendan Rodgers as well. Brendan Rodgers is out. Does that feel a little bit more like that's part of a cog? So did Brendan Rodgers, because they say it's by mutual consent, but when you read the club statement, it doesn't feel like that, does it? What do you make of that one?
That had been coming as well. I'm a huge admirer of Brendan Rodgers. He won an FA Cup there. He had sort of issues in terms of investment last year in terms of getting the players that he necessarily wanted in. 2 top 5 finishes, a European semi-final. But look, they're 19th. I mean, I think Potter will be in there. So Potter, for me, that looks, again, with great respect to Leicester, my local club, Potter looks Leicester looks Potter's level.
Yeah.
He can work there. There's less pressure. It's actually a very well-run club, which Chelsea, because they've got new owners who are spectacularly naive, are very successful businessmen. They do need a little bit more sort of football advice around them. I just think that, Potter would fit in well there, and clearly Nagelsmann's availability has focused Chelsea minds.
It doesn't feel, I don't think with Brendan Rodgers, it doesn't feel necessarily like this has damaged his reputation in any way. I almost feel like that perhaps for Brendan Rodgers, the next move might be a club that's perhaps a more established club in the Premier League, in terms of because he was being linked to Spurs. Could you see him going to a club like that?
Champions League club, if Spurs can sort of get back into the Champions League positions, possibly, because he's got a very good reputation in the game. He's popular in the media. He will get a sympathetic hearing. I think people felt he did well, but again, you talk to the Leicester fans. I'm surrounded by them where they live, and they're actually a very sanguine group. They're still sort of delighting in 2016. They want to give managers time there. The club do things with a bit of class, particularly Kuntop, the owner. But he'd run his course there. And again, with Potter, it's a surprise it's taken so long. And maybe that's a compliment to the board, who wanted to give him that time at Leicester. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he'll get another job soon, as will Potter. I mean, the merry-go-round spins faster and faster, and they will be flipped off and get back on again. Yeah. I mean, probably while we're talking now, the 13th has gone.
Henry, can I ask you just briefly, myself included, by the way, we're all getting asked the question, who's going to finish fourth and take the fourth spot in this Champions League? Have we not looked at the fact that Manchester United could be the team that miss out completely?
Well, if they play like they did yesterday, I was at St James's Park yesterday, and Newcastle were terrific. I mean, I don't think, look, Ali, you would know far better than anyone. Do you think that Weghorst is a Premier League, Champions League level striker? No. He hasn't got the mobility, he hasn't got the pace. Yeah. Marcus Rashford was clearly not at his best yesterday. Anthony played actually all right. He seemed in a rather hilarious running feud with Dan Burn, which was a sort of slight size differential. But look, on yesterday's evidence, you backed Newcastle United to finish in the Champions League position, and they overtook Manchester United yesterday. But look, it's Spurs' chance to respond, if they can, at a fired-up Everton tonight.
Okay, Henry, thank you very much.
Thanks, Henry. Have a good day.
Have a good week.
Later. Henry Winter there, Times Chief football writer, had a message from Max in London saying, I heard Henry Winter on talkSPORT, so he tuned into YouTube because we're streaming live, of course, and he said, I didn't know he was a backwards cap kind of guy. Was not expecting that.
He was what? I missed that.
He said he didn't expect Henry Winter to be a backwards cap kind of guy.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.